photos, and it would be nice if we could see all of our front shots together. So the first step in this process is that we're going to go over here and we're going to make a smart album. So up on the plus, I can say smart album, and I'm going to call this front shots. So we want all our front shots is anything with a green tag, regardless of which folder it belongs in. Two ways we can make these. We can use a preset over here, and that says color tag is green, or we use the plus buttons to build our search criteria. So let's say OK, and now we've got our smart album here. We can reorder it to something sensible, and front shots now contains green tagged images from every single outfit, like so. So you can imagine I did the same for rear shots. If I edit the smart album, you can simply see that color tag is red. Cancel that out, and the same for our detail shots, like so, which is, you guessed it, edit smart album, color tag is blue. Okay, let's cancel that out, and the next thing that we're going to do is, let's go to front shots again.
Okay, perfect. As you can see, the whole idea of this video is to show you that now that you have your session favorites organized, you can still navigate through all of them with different parameters using your color tabs, using your 5 stars. So now you have even more organization details, because right now here he has outfit 1, outfit 2, outfit 3, all according to the different outfits. But then the client comes behind you and I say like, hey, I love how you have everything organized, but you know, I just want to focus right now in all the detailed shots that you create from all of those outfits. So imagine how much work will be having to go folder by folder, selecting those, where you can create a smart folder and then name it front shots, and then knowing that everyone that is color label in green, or it's gonna be your front shot. So this will even make everything more easy to organize at the time that you are presenting to your client and at the time to select your final images. Remember that one of the biggest mistakes on a photographer is the editing part. And when I say editing, it's not going to Photoshop, is selecting your final image. You always, when you do a photo shoot, you do about 300 to 400 images. How do you know you are selecting the top 1 or the top 5 to put in your website? How do you know you are making the right decision? Sometimes we don't, and we leave the award-winning image sitting in our hard drive forever. So learning how to edit our work and pick the best is one of the most important things we do as a photographers. But how do you know you are selecting the right image? So obviously that's not something that you will learn from the day to the night. You have to develop your eye and know exactly what are you looking for, what so many things behind it that will give you that knowledge to really target and go for the best image you have created. So these type of organization methods that Capture One gives you, it gives you a better way to find, to go through all of your work in a smart way. So that way you don't have to scroll down through those 500 images. That's one of the biggest mistakes we do, trying to find our work. And sometimes when we scroll down through just the Finder, that is so impossible to review, or Lightroom that takes forever to open an image. Now with Capture One, since Capture One created previews for us, we are working faster and we are able to see everything in a more efficient way. So then having all these extra tools is extra beneficial. So I encourage all of you to try this from now on. There is not gonna be an assignment for this yet, because I want you to learn this pace by pace. But what I want you to focus from now on it's in the assignment for next week. So keep in mind these smart folders and capturing to multi-folders, because you're going to be presenting for next class a project that you will be using these. Okay, so what you'll be doing for next week as the assignment, and I know Valetta's gonna love this, you're gonna be creating a self-portrait of yourself. So for that, I have a few requirements. The first one is I want you to draw why, Grace? It's cool. I'm gonna show you. There is a lot of different ways on how to create self-portraits, and you can be as creative as you want. So it's gonna be a very awesome challenge. So the first thing that I want you to do, even before you set your lights, or even before you place your camera, I want you to draw a sketch or what is original called a storyboard of what you have in mind to do. So here's just a quick video so everyone is understanding what I'm talking.
Also, another thing that I wanted to mention, if you guys are going to like draw sketches, don't feel like you have to stick exactly to that sketch. If you want to kind of go off and do something different than what your initial idea was, that's totally fine. I do that all the time. Sometimes I'll get inspired, like just being in the moment, and I'm like, oh, like what if I try this? Or it wasn't my original drawing, but I think it would look cool because I just thought of it right now. So that's totally cool too. Like obviously like plan something initially just to kind of get you motivated and to like get you to a starting point. And then as the shoot goes on and as like time goes on, it's just going to happen where you think of a cool idea and then just roll with it.
Perfect. As you saw, he said it's super simple. It obviously don't have to be exactly, you don't have to be a professional drawer artist. It's just for you to put in your mind your idea and then conceptualize it later. And I want you to do a drawing of this because I don't want you to be creating mood boards from Pinterest where sometimes we tend to replicate the image. I want you to draw it because that way it's just you versus your mind. I want you to be able to like just put your imagination to flow. So then this is gonna be a very interesting part of the assignment. So once you have your drawing, take a picture with your camera in good quality, try to light it so then the drawing scans perfectly, and then you attach that to the assignment you are gonna be sending to me via WeTransfer. So I will explain you how to do that part. I also want to give you a little bit of background of self-portraits. So then you...
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Our current photo assignment is on self-portraits, and I thought it would be fun to take a look back historically to different types of photographers to see different types of approaches to this. And I found some interesting stuff that I want to share with you. A quick disclaimer, not all of these are actually self-portraits, but they're close enough conceptually to what we're talking about to be discussed. So anyway, the first one I want to look at is one of the most famous really in the last 10 years. This is obviously Vivian Maier. This has become a really iconic image. Obviously, it was used as the poster image for both the book and as well as the film. And what's interesting about it is that it is a self-portrait, and she shot a lot of self-portraits, always in the context of street photography, and she's most associated with Chicago, although there are other locations as well. But what's interesting about this is when you look at other photographers of that era, self-portraits are something you really don't see a lot of. That was not the interest of what people were doing at that time. So to see her in this context is really interesting because when you put her in the context of today's world and you look at the whole idea of the selfie, and it is a very normal thing for people to use their phones to take pictures of themselves to post on social media. When you look at Vivian Maier's work, she puts that into a historical context that's normally not associated with that. And I think that's one of the things that works well in the interest in this. And it's a very iconic picture. Another person that I think is very well known for doing self-portraits is Cindy Sherman. Now, Cindy Sherman had an entirely different approach to this, and this is a series of work she did that are referred to as untitled film stills. And the idea is that she is in every image. She is the actress, or she is her own model, but she does not appear the same. It looks to be different people. What's interesting about this series, though, is the idea of the self being involved in the image, but also the disassociation from identity. She looks different in all of them. But what really makes this series work is the whole idea that you could be looking at just a still frame from a film, but you don't know any context around it. There's something that is engaging you as the viewer to start coming up with conclusions of what may have happened before or what is the greater context where it's going to go. And I think this is interesting because this is also a thread that you see in other contemporary artists as well. It's like somebody like Gregory Crewdson. Now, Crewdson doesn't do self-portraits, but it's this idea of creating something within a still image that engages the viewer to come up with conclusions of what's happening within the story. And I think it's really interesting. Now, in researching this, most of the self-portraits that I found are fairly conventional in that they involve the photographer in their environment with the camera doing what they love and what they do as a vocation. So somebody like Richard Avedon, who is on the set, very different, but Imogen Cunningham, who has more of a poetic, natural light pose to what she's doing. Andy Warhol, who's famously associated with the Polaroid. Another photographer that I am...
Cool. So don't want to complete with the video because he started shifting a little bit the topic, but this was the part that I find very interesting for all of you to see. I love Via Mayer, and I think that she has a very iconic self-portrait, and I thought that was really clever. I know a lot of these self-portraits have been done in street photography. Obviously, I don't encourage for you to do that. And I know you might think like, well, but they have all these beautiful spaces and all these big productions to do that and all that. So I was like, well, let me show them something very homemade that maybe this is not exactly what I'm looking forward for you to create, but also just to give you the example how creative you can be with whatever you have at home. And this is very cheesy, I look at it, but it's just for you to don't think that there is no way to make a self-portrait. See how maybe you probably will be able to come out with better and more stunning ideas that he did, but I just want to show you that video because it is everything at home, and it's so creative. Like, I mean, look at, he's getting into his shower with a mirror and a flower, and like he's creating those very stunning. He probably doesn't have the most expensive gear or like the most expensive lighting, but he's just being creative in very short spaces. And I think that might be something that inspires you to understand that we all have been similar at home. I mean, just the one of the shadow, I thought that was pretty cool how he merged then both images because he wanted to have that cool shadow, but then he wanted to look like he's like terrified by that shadow. So then he composed both images. And we're artists, so we obviously have the chance to work with things like that. So I thought that was very clever, and like you know, it's just to give you an idea that you can be as creative as you want. So first you'll be doing the